These are the video tripod legs that I use, and they are the ones that I use with this 3066 Bogen video head. I did a YouTube on this a while ago, so I wanted to just give a shout out to the legs that I'm using and also to try to make a case for people that are doing product photography or tabletop or still life, using some of the older strobes, for why you may want to consider looking at video tripods, and as opposed to trying to get one that's made specifically for photography. And you know, I'll just say really quickly that there's, in my mind, two reasons to do that. One is the cost. You may find that they're not that expensive used. And the other is that they are robust. So they don't tend to get knocked over. And if you bump into one, you're not going to spend a lot of time trying to recompose your scene. Um, so before I forget to do it, let me just give you some of the specifications here. These, you can buy them online used at normal places. I bought this one locally from a studio. I live outside of Seattle. There's some small studios around Seattle. Um, and I was surprised when I showed up to pick it up how big it was and how substantial it was. So that's part of my reason for doing this YouTube. Also, if you're looking at it online and you're really kind of wondering how big is it, hopefully this will give you some idea. But it supports 100 pounds, over 100 pounds. They are made to work in video production or cinematography production. So the studio I brought it from, the person was said he put a 35 millimeter cinematography camera on here with the film. It was heavy. He also was flying a jib on it, and that was heavy. So I'm not doing either of those. I'm taking pictures in a studio with a mirrorless camera. The legs are robust. So the two sections, the top section is aluminum, the bottom section is steel. The aluminum is 1.6 inches in diameter, and the steel is 1.4. So these are thick sticks. Um, the uh, the bowl is 100 millimeters. You'll find other video tripods might have a bowl of the size of 75. And while we're here, the way that the leg attaches to the bowl, that black clamp that's sort of in the middle of the photo, you can take it apart with a 5 millimeter Allen wrench or hex key. And the other parts of the tripod you can take apart primarily with a 4 millimeter hex key. And there aren't a lot of parts. I'm going to show you a part list shortly. So it's easy to take apart. It's easy to clean. If something is broken, it's easy because this is production equipment. It's supported. It's easy to get a spare part. But yeah, from the top to the bottom of this, you see the four hex keys there. It's 4 inches, so it's huge. Take a look at your photography tripod right now. That top area, I think, is called a spider. Look at the spider and look at how the spider is connected to the legs. Um, the other thing to note here is that there's no clicks on video tripods where the legs join the spider. It is the way you control the width of the legs is with something that's called a spreader. So here you can see the spreader is kind of out of place, but it demonstrates that you can actually make one spreader leg longer than the other. So if you look at the spreader leg on the right, you can see sort of some little indents there. Hopefully, let's see if I can show that here. This is sort of a close-up. So I don't know how many of these indents there are, but maybe 4 or 5. And so you just kind of click it into place. There's a little button there that you squeeze with your fingers to the left, and that's how that's how you make the spreaders bigger or smaller. It is also maybe for still photography. Um, I've seen a lot of behind the scenes images where the spreaders aren't flat, where they have them raised like you see here, and that just allows the tripod to easily adjust up if you need to get a little bit of extra height and you don't want to fool with adjusting the legs and the leg locks. On the legs, let's see, it is 58 inches at its maximum. Uh, so not super tall, certainly not short. And it only goes down to 28 inches or 29 inches at its lowest. So for some people, I think you look at tripods, or people can look at tripods and they can look at the specifications, like how much does it weigh, how tall does it go, how much can it support. And I would love it if this thing went below 28 inches, but I don't really care that it doesn't go below 28 inches. And the reason for that is that the video head, the plate that comes on video heads, is a lot of times pretty big. And this one's huge. I know they're not always this big, but you can put it on top of an apple box. You can put it on top of a piece of wood. You could attach a super clamp or a Mayfer clamp or a Maddalini or Cardellini clamp to the steel leg at the bottom, and then put a ball head on top of that, and you get your camera as low as you want it. For the few times maybe that you need to take that super low photo. If for some reason 58 inches is too short, then you can put it on this whole tripod on Apple boxes and get extra height that way. The thing is 17 pounds. You put the video head on it. My video head weighs 7 pounds, so that's 20 or 25 pounds worth of weight. And putting it on top of an Apple box or a set of Apple boxes, it's not going to go anywhere. Um, and it's funny, if you look at cinematography behind the scenes, you will see all sorts of wild stuff going on for how they're trying to get the camera set up or how they're trying to get the lights set up. They're doing it in a way that everything, the equipment and the people around it are staying safe, but it isn't always by just using the item by itself. They might be propping it up with an Apple box or clamping something lower to the ground. The legs are one locks to the other with these brakes. I like the knob here to open and close the legs. Those are 4 millimeter hex screws in there for from the top of the leg lock to the bottom is 4 inches. So again, it's rather robust because the bottom legs are made out of steel. Once you open the lock, they slide out really fast. There's a lot of weight. So that can be a quick way to get the legs level, and it can be a quick way to get the legs to the height that you want. You're not, some tripods you're unscrewing a column and you might have to pull the legs out. There might be a little bit of tension there. You have some maintenance on those collars and or the clamps if you use something other than a screw like this. There's not a lot of maintenance with these. Well, let me show you the part list. I'm not going to go into detail. You can find this online at Manfrotto, but there aren't a lot of parts. And it's production equipment, which means it's made for people to make money, which means that it's supported. So you can buy spare parts. And it's probably made to go into a rental house, which means it's made to be abused. And so That was one of the other things that I was talking about, was that they can be rather inexpensive. I bought this for $80. The guy that I bought it from, the studio that I bought it from, they tried to, they were selling it for 4 months. They couldn't get rid of it. Um, and you can buy them online used. I've seen them for like $300, maybe up to 500. Um, and as long as there's no massive dent in it, uh, you can probably be assured that the thing is going to work and do its job. So, you can buy it new. If it, I don't, I can't make the case that you would for still photography buy one of these new. But if you're a cinematographer and you're watching this video, maybe buy one used, because you can turn around and resell it, and you're not going to be out as much money. If you buy it new, you're going to lose money on it when you resell it. There's cotter pins. Again, it supports 100 pounds, so there's holes that are drilled into the bottom of the steel legs. I'm never going to need to use the cotter pins for weight support, but it is an easy way to make sure that all of the legs are the same height, by putting the cotter pins in if you extend the legs. There are spikes, so you can take with a 4mm hex key, you can reverse the foot, and this is what, roughly 1.3, 1.4 inches in diameter. I didn't measure how long it is, but it's a couple inches long. It's a robust spike. So if you're outside and you don't want to use the rubber feet or the black feet at the bottom, those can be replaced, by the way, as well. You can get a spare black pad, if you will, and I think through that 4mm hex screw that you see sticking out at the top, you can use that to expand this spike, and then you can pop in a new foot. So again, very easy to work on if you need to work on one. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but the bottom sections of the tripod are stainless steel. So, you know, it's, it's not going to get corroded. The top section is made out of aluminum. That's, going to stand up pretty well also to the elements. So, yeah, there you have it. I am a fan. I wish I would have stumbled onto video tripods a lot earlier. I've bought a ton of tripods. Typically, I'll go for the older ones that are made for medium or large format, because I really, really prize and want the stability. I want the weight. I want the girth, because I I spend a little bit of time getting my tripod set up, but I want it to be in place once I have it set up. And I really want the horizon to be level, so that's why I like the leveling bowl. That saves me a lot of time, because I spend more time working with tilting the head up and down and panning it left and right when I'm adjusting the tripod than I actually do trying to get the tripod height. And it's frustrating to me when I have a lighter tripod and I bump into it and then I have to recompose my image. So a lot of times, the background that I'm using is uh, almost just barely in frame, or my lights are almost just barely out of frame. And so minor adjustments for panning or for the tilting can mean that I spend time, trying to recompose. With something as heavy as this, I don't, once I get it set up, it's kind of rock solid. So I hope that helps. I hope this gives you some ideas. I hope it helps people that may be thinking about trying to buy one of these online and really kind of wondering how big they are. And it doesn't need to be this one, the Manfrotto 528XB. Think about other video tripods. You'll be surprised. They, in my opinion, are not used. They're not that expensive.